failure. Failure is probably the most misunderstood topic of all time. We perceive failure as the worst thing that could happen, and we try our best to steer away from it. It has gotten so bad that we fear failure, so we don't even attempt. Let's say you have to give a speech in front of the class. You feel your body tingling, your heart struggling to pump oxygen as good as it used to, and you feel anxious. You are afraid. Afraid of what, you may ask? You're just saying things in front of people. What's so scary about that? Just standing in front of people, saying words. There's nothing scary about that. You're not afraid of the process itself. You're not afraid of saying the things. You have said those things 100 times. You are afraid of failure. You are afraid to fail at delivering that speech correctly to your classmates. You're afraid of stuttering. You're afraid having trouble spelling a certain word despite having practiced 100 times in advance. Even if you stuttered or had trouble spelling a certain word, sure, it may hinder your performance, but people won't laugh at you or anything. They're just gonna be like, oh, he struggled with that word. Okay then. But it's much bigger in our heads. When presented with this idea of giving a speech, all of this goes through your head. And you are horrified just at the like, thought of you, like, standing in front of the class, holding a book open, or your project practically, and the spotlight is on you, and the whole class is silently looking at you, waiting for your next words. You fear a lot of things, and that's a topic for another video. But failure is the strictest teacher of all time. It teaches you, not by telling you, not by explaining to you. It teaches you by showing you and putting you directly in the situation of you haven't succeeded. Failure won't sit there and explain to you, well, you shouldn't do that because one, two, three. And I was gonna be like, yeah, do that and I'll show you the result. And let's say you do that and the result is terrible. You manage to work yourself back up and you are presented with the same decision. Of course, you're not gonna make the decision that threw you back 100 miles, for example, like that. Just launched you backwards. No, that held you back from succeeding. That's what I was looking for. No, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna do the other one because you have learned. You have learned not to do that. And who taught you that? Failure doesn't have a face. And you can't talk to it or manipulate it or just be like, hey, can you reconsider your decision or whatever. No, it doesn't have emotions and it won't sympathize with you. Failure will place you in the most unfavorable situations, and it's your job to get out of these situations. It truly depends on how you see it. Failure could be the cruelest devil there is, or it could be the best blessing one could ever hope for. I'm going to explain how it could be either one. Okay, so failure could be the cruelest devil there is because it places you in the most unfavorable situations, which include homelessness, bad grades, lost friendships, and sometimes even the death of certain loved ones. How could it be good if it leads to all those things? Let's say, best example, failing at a test, for example, because we've all gone through it. We haven't done amazingly good in all of our tests, so it's probably the best thing I could go off of right now. But basically, let's say you don't get a good grade on the test and you're like, why didn't I get that? And you check your paper and the teacher has corrected it, you have made a mistake in here. So you focus on those parts. Next time you do the test, like let's say practice it alone at home or anything, you're gonna ace it because you have learned that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You haven't learned it in like any way. You have learned it harshly. You have been exposed to, if you got it wrong, what's gonna happen. So these points that you failed at stand out now. And you can begin working on them and improving them until you are able to ace the test. Failure could also be the best blessing there is as well. Despite it literally trying to ruin your life, that's as you see it, it is the best teacher there is. That's how I see it. Because, just as I said, it pinpoints, it literally highlights everything that's wrong with you and tells you, hey, improve on that. Most people are afraid of facing the truth. They're like, I don't want to improve on that, or I don't want to see you, or I don't want to talk to you. Like, why would you even do that? Every time you fail, you get an opportunity to learn something new to improve on. Experts. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about experts in a certain narrow field are people who have mastered everything. No matter what you ask them, they have mastered everything. They have failed in every single way possibly imaginable. Because you can't be an expert, like truly an expert. I'm not saying the ones that claim to be an expert, no, truly an expert, not having failed at least 500 things. Nothing teaches you better than being there, failing and experiencing the consequences firsthand. You are there, and you have seen what happens if you do X. So next time when you're in the same situation, you do not do X, even if you really want to, because you're placed in the same exact situation. You recall being there and doing X and remember it failing, and you remember the consequences and how terrible it all was. So you do Y instead. That's because you have learned your lesson and you know not to repeat it. Let me get one thing across. No matter how much you educate yourself on a topic, even if you read 1,000 books, nothing will teach you like failing at it. You shouldn't be afraid to fail. Instead, you should welcome it with open arms, as it is an opportunity to learn.